of the Squaxin, Cowlitz, Coast Salish, and Nisqually people who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. The board is committed to an ongoing dialogue and partnership with tribal neighbors, and we pay our respects to elders both past and present. So an overview of our process for tonight. This is a hybrid meeting. This meeting is being recorded. The recording link is available on board docs within 24 to 48 hours after the meeting, and you can visit the OSD website to find that. For those of you who are online and need the accessibility option, closed captioning is available. So if you can click on the CC button that's at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see closed captioning. And public comment, although we are meeting in person, as you know, sign up for public comment continues online only. Sign up list is available on the day of the meeting from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can also always send a comment to us via email to public-comment@osd.wednet.edu, postal mail, or to any of our individual board member addresses. You can also find these instructions on the district website and in board docs. So for those of you who are online, please make sure that you have the most recent version of Zoom. And also, as a reminder, all comments are included in the meeting minutes and are subject to public records disclosure. So with that, we'll move to agenda item 1.3, roll call.
President Flores.
Here.
Vice President Huffman.
Here.
Director Reed. Here. Director Seidel.
Present.
Director Clifthorne.
Present.
Student Representative Christine Day. Present. Student Representative Rama Gay.
Here.
Student Representative Ali Owen.
Here.
Student Representative Rhea Russell.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emmy.
Superintendent Murphy.
Here.
Also the superintendent. Next is agenda item 1.4, approval of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion. Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the November 10th, 2022 regular board meeting agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Next is the approval of minutes from the October 27th, 2022 board meeting.
Move to approve the minute.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the October 27th, 2022 regular board meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Next is agenda item 1.6, which is public comment. So we have a lot of public commenters today, 31. And so I'm going to go over the rules quickly just so that we can clarify and make sure that everyone gets their time. So every person is limited to 3 minutes for public comment. I am going to strictly enforce this because we do have so many people signed up. So when you get to the end of the 3 minutes, there's a buzzer over here. And I will also remind you, like I will say, thank you for your time. I'm going to ask everyone present to please not interrupt the public commenter. So no clapping or yelling or any of those things. If those things occur, we will be out of order. So you can clap, you can yell, do whatever you want at the end, but every person is going to get their time, which is 3 minutes, okay? So that's how public comment works. And I'm really honored that you all showed up to give public comment. And with that, I'm going to get started. So our first public commenter is Candace Mercer, and you go right up to the podium over there. Also for everyone for public comment in person, these mics, and Frank will be there to help. You push on the button until the light is green. Where is the timer? Right here. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, board. I'm Candace Mercer. I am an independent journalist who just published a long-form investigative report on Talana Reed's past. I have reported on Reed since 2018 when her aunt died under suspicious circumstances. I have reviewed hundreds of pages of police reports, internal City of Olympia documents, and a 90-page Washington State Patrol background check. I have also viewed video recordings, social media posts, and interviews with Ms. Reed. I do not believe Reed is an appropriate choice to the board due to her record. Either the board did not do due diligence, or they did and ignored it. I am not sure which is worse. Her actions are not isolated in the past or can be excused by life challenges. It is a pattern of behavior that follows her to the present. I have watched Reed frequently and consistently misrepresent the circumstances around her aunt's death. This disinformation has led to increased racial tensions in Olympia with real-world consequences. Reed concocted a conspiracy theory about the death of Yvonne McDonald that includes City of Olympia employees, OPD, the council, 2 city managers, Medic 1 EMTs, the coroner, and the prosecutor. Furthermore, Reed and her followers have bullied all of the above. They have released the names and fomented harassment campaigns, including at their homes. She demanded investigation after investigation, never satisfied. This has cost more than $100,000. Truth to power is a principle Reed should appreciate, and that is why I am here today. Reed is a public figure and it should expect scrutiny, especially given her outrageous and false claims. This is not about racism, an easy excuse. This is about character and being a role model. Who Reed associates reflects her values. Several parents have reported they are being threatened by her people, including Kevin Haslett, her close friend, and her former campaign manager, Derek Ball. These messages are abusive and obscene. Haslett wrote to me, "I will die and kill to protect my friends and family. Your lies are the reason, and you will be responsible if something happens to her." F word, C word. I wrote to a friend, "Although I would die and kill to protect my friends and family, I certainly hope it does not come to that. Unfortunately, it might. Violence has no place in Olympia."
Thank you. Brisno?
All right. Good evening, board members and my fellow Olympians. My name is Humberto Briseño, and I am here as a concerned parent of an Olympia School District student. As a minority and a man of color, and a parent of a mixed child in this school district, I met the news of Talana Reed's appointment to the school board with a sense of excitement and hope. Since I started working for the school district, I have heavily been involved in volunteer work, and I'm also a member of DEI committee to help educate members of the school district on different cultures and to be inclusive. However, my excitement soon disappeared and changed into shock, bewilderment, and disappointment when I was made aware of board member Reed's spoken words regarding members of law enforcement and urging members of this community to tear this S up and tear everything up in this effing city. On top of that, I also found out about her lengthy criminal history. I feel that with all of this information concerning board member Reed, it is extremely dangerous for her to have any say concerning any policies or anything related to being a school board member for this school district. As a parent and a proud member of this community, I have zero tolerance for any violence against any members of our community, including our men and women of law enforcement. Board member Reed has shown dangerous behavior unbefitting of a school official and should not be allowed to be in a position of any influence over any impressionable school children. Ms. Reed, if you truly care about the children in this community and this school district, I strongly urge you to turn in your resignation. And as for the rest of the board members who appointed Ms. Reed to this position, I urge you to also resign because you have failed this community and this school district. Thank you.
Matt Bell.
Taller. All right. Good evening. I'm here today to express my extreme disappointment with the school board in front of me. I was hesitant to speak as those who have spoken before me have received hateful messages and threats. I speak to you as a son of a police officer, a graduate from Olympia schools, a parent, a teacher of 26 years, and as an assault victim in downtown Olympia. Ms. Reed, your language was light years away from appropriate, and for that, you do not deserve to be on this board. In your statement, you take zero responsibility for your past. You state, I was not spewing hate or calling for violence. When you said to a group, F the police, is that not hate? When you said to a group, it amazes me how those pigs can sit over there to watch us. Is that not hate? What's even more disturbing is that those police officers were there to protect your First Amendment rights. It's not a matter of context. It's a matter of spewing hate towards the police, plain and simple. When you said to a group, tear everything up in this effing city until they do what we want them to do, is that not inciting violence? There are consequences for your action. Our town was torn up and innocent people were assaulted, including myself. Referring to the city officials, you said, they've deemed me as a threat to security and they need to. Wow, you're a self-admitted threat to security. That is not a good thing. Now, let's take a look at the extensive criminal history of Ms. Reed. I have it all right here from the Washington State Patrol. Allow me to summarize it for you. Thefts, embezzlement, and assaults. One felony and numerous gross misdemeanors. Ms. Reed states that her goal is to continue her position with honesty, writing fraudulent checks at a local business and embezzling from the local newspaper is far from being honest. I'm a veteran teacher on my 26th year. I hold my students to high standards and I build lifelong relationships. This board is not in a position to hold students to high standards when you can't even hold yourself to high standards. If I had the same public and criminal history as Ms. Reed, I wouldn't even be afforded an interview to be a teacher. It was extremely reckless for the board to make this appointment, and I have lost all faith in every member. And to be perfectly clear, this is not an issue of race. This is an issue with the board appointing an anti-cop activist, a self-proclaimed threat to security, and a felon to the board. I blame the entire school board.
Thank you, sir. Next, okay. Next is Barbara Forbes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Forbes. I'm a mother and a grandmother. I raised my children to love and care for others, and they have taught this to my grandchildren, and we love all people. I have over 200 hours in early childhood training, birth through 8 years old. I also taught preschool for 25 years here at Olympia, and I learned most of what I know from the students themselves. I'm here tonight to advocate for the children. First, I recently saw videos of a woman who was calling our police officers pigs and telling others to tear up our city. This is hate speech, and I feel would be the wrong person to sit on any seat the OSD has. My concern would be that this hate would spill over to our children who are so easily influenced, and they are easily influenced. She also has an extensive criminal record and not a good example for our children. Second, this has been an issue that has concerned me over the last year. My children came through the Olympia School District, and my grandchildren have come through or are coming through. The issue of gender identity was brought to my attention last school year. It was disclosed to me that a book about a boy identifying as a girl, a little boy, to a first grade class, 6 and 7-year-olds. The boy in the book stated that he was different, and different was best. He had a pink shadow. He identified as a girl. Could this then cause another child to want to be different? I think it will in some. Children do not understand this, nor are they capable at such a young age. I know this. And some might not until after their teen years or beyond. I was also informed this year that a teacher was asking her class of children if they would like to be a boy or a girl. And she further stated they could choose whatever they wanted to be. This, I believe, will cause more gender confusion. I understand that there are very few, 0.006% of children have gender dysphoria. 13 studies on the life site online confirm that 80% of children who experience some form of gender dysphoria will eventually identify with their biological sex if left alone. So why the effort to confuse the vast majority of children that have no issues with gender dysphoria? With my experience in working with young children for 25 years, I can tell you that this gender ideology is only confusing the children. They do not have the ability yet to understand such complex concepts.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mark Simpson? Mark Simpson. Are you here? One more time, Mark Simpson? Oh, okay.
Thank you, Board. I'm here to, excuse me, I'm here to express my dissatisfaction with your appointment of Talana Reed to the Olympia School Board. I, like many others, have seen videos of her inappropriate language, support of violence, and reports of her criminal background. However, I didn't know much about her activist background until I went to read some of the stories of how she got her start in activism. That's really what brought me here, and to be honest, blew my mind. The sad story of Miss Reed's loss of a loved one is something anyone can empathize with. But what started as sounds like a quest for answers quickly developed into bullying demands for a certain outcome from our community. It led to leading mobs through the streets and neighborhoods of our community to intimidate city officials. And it led to an ever-growing conspiracy theory that threw numerous people that we live and work with, our friends and neighbors, under the bus. As I read news reports and reviewed the case of her deceased aunt, as well as her own website, I was amazed at how much of a conspiracy theory had grown to include the City of Olympia employees, a street sweeper, a police officer, medics, firefighters, the Olympia city manager, the Olympia chief of police. The entire Olympia City Council had to be in on this conspiracy theory. The mayor had to be in on the conspiracy theory. The Thurston County coroner had to be in on this conspiracy theory. All of those 8 entities and people had to be in on this racist conspiracy theory for her allegations to hold any water whatsoever. In what universe does somebody get to traipse through our community, leading a mob of people to intimidate neighborhoods and streets, throwing people under the bus without any proof whatsoever, and then get a unanimous appointment by the Olympia School District Board of Directors? It absolutely confounds me. Thank you.
Meredith Lee? Meredith Lee? Meredith Lee? Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Meredith Morgan, and I'm a junior at Capitol High School. I'm making a public comment tonight as a student in this district and as a part of the Olympia Student Equity Committee to voice my support for Talana Reed. I'm sure everyone knows that all of the people in front of me have been criticized for their appointment of our new board director, and Ms. Reed specifically has come under a significant amount of scrutiny. But I've known about Ms. Reed for years and looked up to her as a community organizer and inspiring woman who is doing the kind of work to help underserved people and make positive change that I want to do in my future. One comment that stood out to me, made by a parent while interviewed on Fox News, was that the district decision to appoint Ms. Reed was ideologically driven. I didn't understand why this was a dig, because what I've learned in school and know to be true is that all policy, all politics are driven by ideology. And this district isn't excluded. Their ideology is written on the wall in front of me. And when I saw that the board appointed her, I immediately thought that she's exactly the influence the district needs to move forward towards their goal to create challenging opportunities for all students in a changing and diverse world, to foster a supportive environment and be equitable, equity, this thing that everyone has been talking about. It's invaluable that now there is a parent on the board who can offer more perspectives and understand why some students wouldn't be comfortable with a school resource officer on campus or the unique needs of a child whose family is experiencing homelessness. Ms. Reed has extensive experience in facilitating training in cultural diversity, de-escalation, restorative justice models, anti-racism, and trauma-informed care. These are all things that my peers and I care about. And in a few short decades, when many of us will send our children through the Olympia School District, this is what we already want to see in place. In my opinion, Ms. Reed's past and her lived experiences only make her more qualified to represent diverse needs in a diverse district. And I trust her qualifications and the district's decision 100%. I know that many people have a hard time with change. And as it has been said, when you are accustomed to privilege, equity feels like oppression. That there is nothing to be lost and everything to be gained from having a board that has a diversity of identities, backgrounds, and thought. Thank you.
Thank you, and just appreciation for student speaking. Next is Jessica Ryan. Excuse me. We always recognize when students speak. I'm sorry that is problematic, but every time a student comes to speak, we always do that. It's part of our course of action, so thank you. Next is Jessica Ryan.
Hi, my name is Jessica Ryan, and I have lived in Olympia for over 20 years, and I care deeply about our community and especially our youth. I want to thank you for your appointment of Talana Reed to the board, and I also want to thank Talana for stepping up to serve. I realize it was a big step and a historical one, and I'm sorry that you have had to endure racist and reactionary backlash for it. I've known Talana since the tragic death of her Aunt Yvonne McDonald in 2018. As I was reading a tiny little blurb in the Olympian about a Black woman whose body was found unconscious near where I live, I had the sick feeling that her death would not be investigated with urgency and thoroughness. As the days, weeks, months, and now years have gone by, that has unfortunately been the case. I feel like that is the invisible hate of racism. On a positive note, though, the struggle for accountability and justice has brought many of us together, as struggles often do. I have witnessed Talana show up again and again with all her humanness, her devotion, her dedication to the community, and connection to the people. I believe she will be a fierce advocate for especially those children who might otherwise fall through the cracks of our system. I acknowledge that her lived experience is something that makes her well qualified and an important voice for the school board. Like many Olympia residents, I am grateful she is being given this opportunity to serve our district with her dedication. And speaking of people with a lot of dedication, I stand behind the paraeducators who serve this district. They are vitally important to the overall learning environment, and they deserve a living wage and healthy working conditions. Providing this should be a priority by the district. The hours of their lives are no less valuable than anyone else's. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Peter Cook? Peter Cook, one last time. Okay, I'm going to move on and come back to you. Catherine Ingram.
Catherine Ingram. One last time, Catherine Ingram. Okay, Caroline Schlegel.
Hello, board and everyone. My name is Caroline Schlegel. I am a paraeducator at Thurgood Marshall Middle School. I wanted to say and first address Ms. Reed and say I'm very sorry for all of the racist and reactionary language and speech that you're receiving tonight. I am the daughter of two teachers who have been in the profession for over 35 years, and I am here to share my story in support of a fair contract for paraeducators. Paras are the glue of our schools. We support classrooms and students in need so that teachers are able to deliver curriculum effectively, and we constantly absorb the shocks in our school system, even when it goes above and beyond our job description. I have been working in a classroom for 4 of 6 periods a day with a long-term sub. The current teacher is on a leave of absence. And while he's been gone, I have stepped up to lead our horticulture class because our current substitute does not have horticultural or institutional knowledge. I have, since the start of the school year, created and delivered curriculum without a planning period. I have operated a school garden and native plant nursery and managed a classroom of almost 30 kids. And because of the pandemic, many of the students in my classes need extra support, and it's extremely challenging to meet those demands when I already have so much on my plate. Further, due to a shortage of paras, when I have been assigned one-on-one with a student, I've been asked to simultaneously function as a classroom para. When I'm in a classroom, I've been asked to function as a hallway para. And I am doing so much work above and beyond what is on paper, but I'm still making $21 an hour. My estimated monthly pay before taxes is $2,000 a month working full-time. A studio apartment in Olympia costs around $1,200 a month. Landlords and rental groups generally require all applicants to make 3 times the total rent regardless of having roommates. I have been denied housing multiple times based on my income, working full-time in this school district. It costs more to fill up my gas tank these days, and it costs more to fill up my fridge, and I no longer qualify for food stamps. All of this is happening while I am trying to serve our school district and serve our children. We all have the same goal here of supporting and nurturing our kids, and I want to show up for them at my happiest and healthiest every day because I have an impact on their lives, but I'm frequently burnt out due to these conditions, and that is not fair to me or to my students. I'm requesting support from the board, not in words, but in action. Please listen to us in our union. Paras are worth so much more than what we're paid.
Yes, John Burnham. John Burnham. One last time, John Burnham. Okay, after John is Zachary Lewis. Zachary Lewis. Zachary Lewis. Okay, Nadine Owen.
High school board. My name is Nadine Owen, and I've been a paraeducator since 1993. I was awarded OSD Classified Employee of the Year in 2020, and in 2021, I was awarded the Regional Classified Employee of the Year for ESD 113. I currently hold the title Restorative Specialist at Thurgood Marshall Middle School. This title is only recognized by the folks in my building. The Olympia School District recognizes my title as paraeducator. A typical day for me is a never-ending chain of students in crisis. Often more than one student at a time, I help students learn healthy communication, how to repair the relationships they've broken by working through the restorative process. This could be student to student or student to adult. I often have students come to the restorative room having a panic attack. I give hugs when needed and also teach students to calm through their anxiety through mindfulness thinking and reading exercises. I also guide students that are having trouble understanding the rules, whether these be social norms, laws, or school rules. Middle schoolers really need to know the why. I also document each meeting I have with students, staying in contact with my administrators and counselors to keep them in the restorative loop. And in the last 8 school days this month, I have worked with 107 students. And because of the heavy need, I've missed most of my breaks and my lunches this year. At Thurgood Marshall, I have my own classroom, which I have thoughtfully designed to offer a stress-free environment within the chaos of middle school madness. I have calming music playing, low lighting, and comfortable chairs to curl up in. I make sure to greet each and every student with kindness, love, and understanding, and approach each interaction as a teaching moment. This space has changed the culture at my school with not only students, but with staff as well. Staff at Thurgood Marshall have reevaluated their traditional approaches to student removal and moved towards a more restorative approach. And I believe I've played a large role in implementing this change in my building. Many paras throughout our district deal with our most challenging and vulnerable students. And without paraeducators, so many of these students would fall through the cracks. Paras are essential to a functioning school, and schools could not run without us. As I lean into my last years of my career, I do believe I've made a difference in this world with the work that I've done with the thousands of students I've worked with. However, I am left wondering why paraeducators are so deeply undervalued by the Olympia School District. While my story may be unique, each and every paraeducator has their own daily struggles and challenges and are making a positive difference in the lives of our students. We are more than deserving of making a living wage. My gross pay barely over $23,000 a year, which puts me well below the poverty line. Paraeducators deserve to be paid their worth. We deserve a living wage. Thank you.
Thank you. Wetzel? Holly Wetzel? One last time, Holly Wetzel? Okay, Anakin Duncan Kimball? Anakin, a Star Wars fan? Oh, there's the laugh, good. Okay, next is Jeffrey Sowers?
Yeah.
Sowers, there.
Hello, board. My name is Jeff Sowers. I'm a former graduate of Capitol High School back in 1982. Been living in Olympia a long time. My 2 kids have gone through Olympia schools, both graduated from Olympia High School. And I'm the chair of the Thurston County Democrats. I'm also a teacher. And I've known Talana. I'm here to speak in favor of Talana Reed and support the school board's decision. I've known Talana for a few years now. And I can tell you I completely support the board's bold decision here. And I think it shows that the board is serious about addressing problems with racism, sexism, and homophobia in our schools. And it shows also your commitment to building a genuinely equitable school system. So thank you. Good for you. As chair of the Thurston County Democrats, we endorsed Talana Reed during her run for city council. I can tell you we scrutinized her background. I personally read through, I looked through her record. We have a whole committee that looked into her before we recommended her for endorsement, and then she was subsequently endorsed. And nothing in there precluded our endorsement. So I believe what's being told here tonight or said here tonight are exaggerations, hyperbole, and distortions. And I'm just curious that the people here that are so adamantly and passionately criticizing Talana, I wonder how adamantly and passionately they've looked at our former president and some of the outrageous and crazy things he said. You know, I mean, what explains that double standard that a lot of people seem to have in this situation? And I think we know what it is. It's racism, plain and simple. Racism.
All right, stop. We're gonna stop it right now. That's your first warning. Jeff, stop your time. First warning, you get one more, and then we're going to adjourn the meeting, okay? So I'm going to reset your time, you finish. We agreed at the beginning, and this is part of the Open Public Meetings Act, that every person gets their 3 minutes, okay? So we're going to continue with that. Go ahead.
I've personally known Talana for a couple of years. I worked on her campaign, and I can tell you, she's just an extraordinary person. Someone who has overcome enormous challenges. Yes, she's had challenges, but she has overcome them. And it's where she's at today that matters. And she's managed to rise above extraordinarily difficult circumstances and today to do extraordinary work in our community. She has just an amazing commitment and passion for working with people and making our community a better place that really serves and works for everyone. This is shown in her work as a homeless outreach worker for Interfaith Works, in her activism and leadership for police accountability and justice for victims of police violence and misconduct, in her campaign for Olympia City Council, and her commitment to her amazing kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Next, we have Hattie Osborne.
Is it on? Okay, thanks. Okay. What my notes? So hello, my name is Hattie Osborne. I am a teacher at Hampton Elementary School over on the west side. I spoke 2 weeks ago, in favor of the board's decision to appoint Talana, and I stand by that statement and everything that I said about that. And it's just really interesting to see what's going on here tonight, especially the remarks after a student spoke. I found that quite interesting. Thanks to that student for speaking, because what she said trumps anything that I could add to. I would like to thank Ms. Slidell for coming into my classroom earlier this week. Board, you're all invited. I'm located in the Mitty building. I invited Patrick and hope to see him soon. I really support an equitable and diverse school board that represents our community. Everybody up here was either elected or appointed. So, we've got a lot of elections coming up, and I look forward to seeing folks run again and keeping our board moving forward. I want to be part of a school district that is progressive and talking about racism, white supremacy, homophobia, sexism, gender. I want our students to have a wide breadth of the world in front of them. I want them to have the skills to succeed, including critical thinking skills. So I'm gonna kind of switch from talking about the school board and talk about our lovely paraeducators. I cannot do my job every day without the support of paraeducators, either on the playground, our behavior tech that does so much. I mean, the amount of fires that he is putting out on a daily basis. He is constantly moving. He's worked so hard. When he is sick, he's been out sick this week, and we missed him terribly. And to think what little amount that he is paid for doing such an immense job. They really deserve more. To hear what Carolyn's doing over at Marshall for those kids in that program and the support of that teacher that is out on leave is immense. I encourage the board to take action and make their wages livable here in Olympia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Randy Anderson.
Randy. Evening, board. My name is Randy Anderson. I have a daughter who has gone to the school district since first grade. She is now a senior. I'm not only coming to you as a parent, but I'm also coming to you as a United States Marine Corps veteran. I think it is appalling that we appoint somebody to the board without having further conversation on it that says F the police. I think that ensues violence, and we've already had student-on-student assaults from last year. Having somebody that says F the police is going to perpetuate that. We've had student on teacher violence, student on bus driver violence. That's unacceptable. We've had vandalism at the schools where bathrooms are locked, where staff can't get into them without having to find another staff member to get a key so they can go in and go to the bathroom. I am also a bus driver for the district. And when I have to go find somebody. That's just appalling. To have somebody that says F the police, that doesn't shape the minds of our students, like our wall says right there. That shapes them in the wrong direction. The direction of violence. That's not where we need to go. We need to go to a peaceful place. I hate violence. I'm one of those, yes, I am a Marine. Yes, we believe in violence. I am a contradiction of terms. I hate violence. But when we have student on student violence with brass knuckles, that's just not okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Alicia Perkins. Alicia Perkins.
My name is Alicia Perkins. I had not planned on speaking tonight, but changed my mind after getting several phone calls from good and decent people in this community afraid to. They fear the real harassment, intimidation, and unfounded character assassinations that not only Ms. Reed, but her supporters are known for. These are families of law enforcement, district employees, business owners, doctors, nurses, first responders, and just regular community members that deserve to be heard. I am talking about the relentless and diabolical attempts to assassinate anyone's character that dares question this appointment based on facts, evidence, public videos, public disclosures, public records, and public interviews. Ms. Reed has a long documented history of harassment, including violation of legal protection orders. This is a pattern. In an interview Ms. Reed gave to Poor News Network in 2021, she stood in front of the Olympia City Hall and said, and I quote, "They've deemed me a threat to security, and they should." I take Ms. Reed at her word. Not only has she instructed her followers to, quote, "tear everything up in the city," but she has led them on video to private neighborhoods yelling and screaming obscenities at people in their homes.
Goddamn right.
I've personally received a message from Ms. Reed's campaign manager letting me know he has spies on my Facebook page reporting back to him. Many people have received threats and intimidating messages from an individual who appears to be quite close to Ms. Reed. I cannot even repeat some of those messages due to language and content. Friends of Ms. Reed's that continually speak on her behalf, including at these public settings, are relentlessly online accusing anyone questioning this appointment as white supremacy. Other members of this board.
Yeah. Alicia, please stop for a sec. So the reminder again for everyone, and this is your second reminder, is that we are going to let everyone speak. Please stop, everyone. Everyone, hey, I used to be a middle school teacher, so let me do my middle school teacher thing. We are all going to let each other speak. This is tense. Let's acknowledge that, okay? We are all going to speak, and then you can clap or you can whatever afterwards, but everyone's going to get their time following the Open Public Meetings Act. Then reaction is afterwards, okay? So this is the second warning. No, it's okay, but I'm warning you, all of you, this is the second warning. After the third warning, then we will follow the regulations under the Open Public Meetings Act, which means we will adjourn the meeting. We will have this space open because that's allowed public space that you can watch the meeting on Zoom. So we will allow folks to remain here, but the board members will leave and we will resume the meeting on Zoom. So that's what is next, okay? Okay, Ms. Perkins, go ahead.
Other members of this board have made the same accusations against good and decent parents, grandparents, students, and anyone else that has reasonable questions. Race has not once been mentioned as a reason for the disapproval of Ms. Reed's appointment. Ironically, the only people mentioning race are her supporters, including this board. That begs the question, to whom is Ms. Reed's race really most relevant to? It appears to be you, not us. This is a transparent and obvious attempt to deflect from the real issue here. I will repeat to make clear, the issue remains and has always been Ms. Reed's fitness to serve in a position overseeing childhood education, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Bradley Alexander, go ahead.
Hello, I am a paraeducator at Northhurst. Not yet. I'm still part of the Olympia School District. I work at Marshall Middle School. Honeymoon season's over. You know, the kids are back in school, and it's starting to be burnout season at the school. In the last 3 weeks. Well, before that, my teacher was absent due to family crisis for 5 weeks. So all the paras in the DLC program had to basically do the curriculum instruction and in replacement. For the last 3 weeks specifically, I've nearly been stabbed by a pencil. 2 laptops have been broken out of a meltdown. I've been spit on, scratched, kicked. The door has, WWE style slammed on me. Basically, to go to work, I have to wake up really early. I do a little stretch yoga routine. I try to get centered, meditate, because I really want to come in fully present for the kids. Because even though they may cause harm or have meltdowns because of communication issues and honestly, like adverse childhood experiences at home and poverty, we recognize their circumstances and why people do the things that they do, even when they cause harm. And we see them holistically, and we don't want their worst day to define them as people. And we want them to grow up and evolve and become better people and contribute back to our community. And we want that for everyone. And but right now I see North Thurston School District, Tumwater School District paying well above what we're being paid. And honestly, with my rent increased by $300, I am now a type 1 diabetic because it was triggered by COVID, which I got at school. So I have autoimmune health issues now. And stress is not the best for me. But anyways, what you all decide to do in the bargaining process will be a deciding factor for me, whether I stay in the school district or if I move on.
Hey there, I'm Sarah D'Stasio. I'm a community member, an Olympia High School dropout, and a healthcare worker. First of all, I want to thank the board for their continued support for Director Reed in the face of a racist smear campaign. But I'm here to talk about the OSD paraeducators as they renegotiate their contract. So this is an issue that should matter to everyone, but it matters to me because for almost 10 years, I provided in-home care and support to teens, adults, and seniors with disabilities. I love the work, but the work didn't always love me. And I experienced persistent and sometimes extreme violence, 24-hour shifts at a non-union agency with no health care, where I started at $9.75 an hour and ended at just under 14. So the setting and specifics are different, but what that experience did for me was it convinced me that no one providing care and support work should ever want to leave their job because they get hurt too often, because they don't get enough staffing or support, or because they don't make enough money to live. You have a highly skilled, trained, and committed workforce. You should pay them that way, staff them that way, and support them that way. A lot of this work happens behind closed doors, living rooms, classrooms, facilities. But contract negotiations shouldn't. Every member should have a transparent, member-led, strong union that they're an active participant in. And no better time to do that than what's on the table is your life, your leave, and your livelihood. I look forward for other opportunities to support the paraeducators in this district as they fight for a contract that reflects their value to your kids, your families, and your community. And I can tell you what, it's more than $19.43 an hour. Thank you. Solidarity.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Steven, and I'd like to start off by thanking the board for making the decision to appoint Talana Reed. Board member Reed, thank you for taking up this important role, for standing up for what you believe in. This appointment has really brought the district a vision grounded in justice for a safer, healthier student body and a more prosperous Olympia. This is a win for the city that ought to be celebrated. And to all the angry people here so defensive of law enforcement, I really encourage you to do the research you seem so excited to do and learn about the racist institution of the police, its crimes, and its direct links to slavery. Violence is a result of racist systems that the police uphold. But really what I'm here for tonight is to stand on support and solidarity with I'm a substitute paraeducator, and I'm in support solidarity with the paraeducators of the Olympia School District, because the reality is that these folks are the ones who help make these schools run, and they really deserve a living wage. As someone who works with in severely handicapped classes, I know that these classes cannot function without paraeducators, because paraeducators are the ones who help the students eat their food, read, write, color, change their clothes, use the bathroom, calm down when they're upset, stay in class, play in PE. General education classrooms themselves would fall behind without paraeducators. Paraeducators not only support and redirect their own students, but inevitably other students around them, which in turn helps the teacher keep the class on task. And when the teacher is gone, these paraeducators play an even bigger role in helping to manage the class. When I was substitute teaching, I hoped before every single class that I would have a paraeducator in that class, because I knew if I did, then I would have a better chance of managing the class and actually being able to teach effectively. And at the elementary level, some paraeducators have to fill important roles outside of the classroom as well, monitoring lunches where they open milks and tear open lunches so the students can be nourished. They monitor recess where they keep students safe and they instill values like sharing and respecting boundaries. Well, work that teachers cannot do and administrators seem reluctant to do. So when it comes down to the discussion about having money to pay these paraeducators a living wage, it's clear that the district does have money. If you look and see how many administrators are making six-figure salaries, it's time to redirect district money to the people who actually serve the students, who teach them skills, who keep them safe, and bring smiles to their faces every single day. Schools will run without administrators, but schools will not run without paraeducators. The money is there, And it's time to pay educators, paraeducators, a living wage that they deserve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next to Derek Fox.
Hello, my name is Derek, and I'm an actual parent of the Olympia School District. I say an actual parent because, let's be honest, many of the people attacking this board and Talana Reed do not have children in this district, and many do not even live in Olympia. Make no mistake, this bigoted and racist attack on our schools in Talana Reed are not about our community's children. They're about a nationally coordinated attack on education and the values that real Olympians hold. This attack is coordinated on Fox News and known bigoted online groups such as Olympia Looks Like SHIT, a group known for harassing houseless folks, and a group that Miss Alicia Perkins, our local Fox News celebrity, belongs to herself. I recognize many of the same personalities here as those we saw back when the right-wing zealots tried to storm the governor's mansion. People like David Ross, who runs a right-wing talk show and recently posted a photo that has Talana Reed's children on it in a secret group that Alicia runs, putting Miss Reed's family at great risk for violence. And yes, as Alicia Perkins pointed out, I did reach out to her personally to ask her to take that dangerous image from her group. Until tonight, I hadn't heard back from her. And people like Candace Mercer, who is promoting an anti-trans event on the 13th and is a known best friends with Washington Proud Boys. So when this group of people get together and shriek about decency and safety of our community, it is obviously in bad faith. The hypocrisy runs very deep with this group. While perusing Alicia's Facebook group that Mrs. Perkins has set up to attack Talana Reed, she openly gives up her game. She admits that there is nothing productive that they can do. She admits that Ms. Reed has broken no rules and that they don't have the numbers to recall a single board member. So she outlines her strategy. Her goal is to threaten, bully, and harass Ms. Reed and the rest of the school board with the hopes that Ms. Reed will voluntarily step down. Alicia Perkins states that her goal is to cause such a distraction, yes, quote, distraction, that the school board cannot function. Well, here's what I have to say about this. In all of these goals, they will fail. This is Olympia. The majority of parents in this town believe that Black Lives Matter. The majority of this town believes in the equity and inclusion work being done by this board. We will not be bullied, and we will support and defend the important work this school board is doing, and we will not tolerate the racism and chaos they wish to create. Olympia stands against racism. We stand with our LGBTQIA students. We stand with our paraeducators. We stand with this board, and we stand with Talana Reed. Thank you.
Thank you. Desanye? Jason, I think I'm messing up your last name. Desanye, go ahead.
Straight. All right, so you got the name mostly right. I'm Jason Desanye. And I'm a little embarrassed. I feel a little unprepared. I didn't bring a long list of complaints, and I didn't wear my boots. I'm thankful to the other educators and paraeducators that spoke tonight because early on I was starting to think that maybe I had the theme wrong for tonight. So as a paraeducator at OHS, I put out fires, I contain meltdowns, I diffuse eruptions, I go for walks and let people blow off steam at me until they feel better. I work with students who are disadvantaged and suffer from multiple diagnoses or terrible home lives or have myriad other advantages that have gotten them the classification to deserve a 504 or an IEP, something that I wish I had been farther enough away from the line of normal when I was in high school to have been able to qualify for. I bet it's a little weird in that way. I am really rewarded by what I do because I appreciate the opportunity to offer equity to students who really, really need it. I spend my time doing that, and I'm in the easy classrooms. I'm not here to talk about myself today, but I am here to say I think you should pay paraeducators more. I'm in that group, that's convenient. But if you've ever looked at the life skills paraeducators in the building, you're looking at a group. My day-to-day thing is I'm in a room where there's a teacher, a large group of general education students, and then there's one, maybe two, sometimes three students, really high need, that have landed me in that room. And I'm there to help regulate the funk, right? And make everything flow for people. That's a good number ratio. The life skills people are in a room full of high need all day. They're with medically fragile children. They're with profoundly neuroatypical children. They're experiencing student and educator relationships that are not rewarding like my band rewards me. They're giving every single day. When we had a pandemic, they were the first people back in the building. They're providing a service not just to the equity of our community, the parents of these children. I can't imagine raising a child with the profound special needs of the students that we have in our school. Those people need help. They need a break. They need an establishment that is full of the people.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
I just gotta say to Jason, thank you for doing the oh man, that added some levity. Okay, so next is Frank DeRocher. Frank DeRocher.
Hi, thanks. My name is Frank DeRocher, parent of 2 kids in the Olympia School District. First, I want to say thank you to the board and the educators in the system for being courageous enough to even be in the difficult role that you hold. It's hard to put yourself out there. To any veterans in the room, thank you for your service. I also want to recognize that the board did respond to my call at the last meeting for an official statement. So thank you for hearing this. I chaperoned a field trip yesterday and it was awesome. I got to meet 3 new kids while we hung out for lunch between performances. We held an impromptu choir performance in the middle of McDonald's for everybody who was present there. It was awesome. But I realized as I looked around that this was only possible after I had passed a background check. All teachers, administrators, volunteers have to pass a background check. But it's my understanding there's no such requirement for board members. How can the board justify the hypocrisy of throwing caution to the wind when it comes to appointing board members that will be creating policies for our kids? We have background checks for reasons. How on earth do those standards not apply here also? Are we just to let anybody with a criminal history have access to our kids? Unfettered access to our kids? Talana, I was impressed with your interviews too. I was. And I would love to find a way to collaborate on your ideas in open ways that don't require navigating through egregious policy loopholes. And as an advocate for the kids in these schools, the point of my comments at the last board meeting were to say that I think our district's implementation of DEI policies appears to be extremely short-sighted as it is. Is the district giving our teachers and educators the tools they need to present our equity conversations in a way that they can effectively support students from all backgrounds and cultures and not inadvertently hurt one group or another? Or is it just like the Wild West out there? Now, it sounds like we have some changes coming soon, but I would love to see us do better in this regard. As it is right now, I see a lot of kids and educators leaving OSD. And it's my understanding that we'll also, if we get to it, look at some panorama survey results. And I'm hoping we can glean a little insight into this. But I polled all of the OSD families and educators that I know of that left the district. And the survey found that the top reasons they had left are due to concerns over racial equity and gender issues, which rank significantly higher than concerns over safety or mental health reasons. Further, most of these families didn't even feel like the canned responses received from OSD, respectfully addressed their concerns and obviously felt it was best to just leave the district entirely. And this is only representative of the families that were fortunate enough to be able to do something about it. What about those that couldn't?
Thank you, Frank. Tony Gallegos. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me today. My wife is at home right now suffering COVID, and I was going to be with her to take her to urgent care, but she said that we'll do this tomorrow, so I'm here. My name is Tommy Gallegos. I'm the lead CDL driver trainer for the Olympia School District. I'm also a founding member of the Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion Committee that started here for support staff. I'm also on the Washington State's OSPI Lesson Plan Committee to provide lesson plans to all school bus driver instructors throughout the state of Washington. I'm also the representative for the ESD 113 Washington Association for Pupil Transportation. My commitment level should not be questioned. I want to submit these two things here today that are all public, able to be get offline. One of this is called a school bus driver authorization or annual disclosure form. This is something that has to be filled out every single year, and there's questions about your background, potential misdemeanors and felonies. These are all potential things that will get somebody disqualified to just drive a school bus with our children in it. Over here is a Washington Administrative Code 392-144-103 with all the disqualifying factors. These are things that are etched in stone, that are laws written by a building just not too far from here. This is the Office Superintendent of Public Instruction. It is not open to debate. Now, if we have to follow these rules to put somebody behind the wheel just to drive a child home, where does this lend? Where does that rhetoric lend itself to making changes in policies to children? I'm going to urge the school board, because of the McCleary decision many years ago, our district got kind of messed up. We didn't get the funding that we need. And you have parent educators coming up here and begging you for money to just put gas in their car, to buy bread. Having this situation that we're in right now with these can potentially open up our district to litigation, things that we cannot afford, things that we need and cannot afford. I'm telling this to you right now as a parent of the school district that lives in the school district. It's disheartening to me that my child that went through here and graduated left me for 2 years to serve in Guantanamo Bay to protect our country from some serious people. And now he's in law enforcement. And just by that, by default, he is now a pig. It is hurtful to me. Where is the number one up there? Where's the first one up there that says be compassionate and kind? Where is that? It's not right. It's scary for me to come up here and talk to you because I know you guys have the ability to make change and make changes that affect me directly on all the hard work that I've done in this city, for the public works, for Parks and Rec, for this district, for the school board, for everything, even the local baseball leagues. I'm asking you guys, please pay attention. I want you to look at this and just see this and relate to what your decisions are. Black Lives Matter, it needs support, but this might not be the best way to go by it.
Thank you. Yep. Next we have, I'm not sure if you're in person, Kim Deanne. There you go.
Good evening. My name is Kim Griffith, and I'm a parent of a 2020 graduate of Olympia High School and a current junior at OHS, so I do live in the district. If I'm being honest, I have not attended many school board meetings. I assumed that the school board was competent in making decisions that were in the best interest of our children. This evening, I have one important question for the board. To volunteer, be a parent educator, substitute teacher, coach, teacher, or hold a position in the Olympia School District, everyone is required to pass a background check. No exceptions. The reason for this rule is to keep our students safe in the district and to make sure that individuals making decisions regarding our children are upstanding citizens. After researching your current school board bylaws, I have found a loophole in which you do not require a background check to be on the school board under policy 1110. Our current school board members are held to a lesser standard and are not required to submit to a comprehensive background check. Why? Do you go into our schools? Are you in contact with our students? It seems unsettling that we hold our volunteers to a higher standard than we do our school board. I'm requesting under policy 1310 that policy 1110 be amended to add that background checks are required for board members. This change is for the safety of our students in the Olympia School District. Furthermore, I'm requesting that these changes be made before the election in May. I am requesting that all current and incoming school board members pass a federal background check. If you cannot pass a background check, you should not be allowed to be on our school board, go into our schools, socialize with our children, and have huge responsibilities and oversight regarding decisions in the Olympia School District. I am speaking for many of us when I question why an administrator or school board member would be exempt from our school employment background check policy. That sounds suspiciously like being above the law and a clear example of unequal protection. When a school board member is excluded from the background check policy, it sends a message that those who approve of the policy are above it, and it increases the possibility of future embarrassment and even criminality. I'm going to give you 2 quotes my mom used to tell me when I was younger, and they still hold true to this day. Those who have nothing to hide, hide nothing. And know better, do better. I have printed out the policy that needs amended for you. I've also printed an article regarding the importance of background checks for all current and incoming board members in the future. Please read. Remember, know better, do better. We request you make these changes ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On Zoom, I think the rest are Zoom. Gracie Anderson. Can you hear us, Gracie?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Great. My name is Gracie Anderson. I graduated from Olympia High School in 2017 and attended OSD every year of my K-12 education. I am one representative of a contingent of alumni, current students, and OSD family members who have written and signed a letter to the school board expressing our support for the appointment of Talana Reed and calling for a more robust, honest conversation about racism in our city. I will not be reading this letter to you now. Mac Murray will talk about it after my time is up, but over 130 individuals signed on to this letter, and it has been delivered to the board members via email. I thought seriously about what I wanted to say to those who are here tonight because they're unhappy with Talana's appointment. I've been listening to the other public comments, and I just want to ask of the people who are criticizing Talana, have they ever spoken to her before? Have you tried to reach out? Have you met with any of the board members to hear about the reasons why she was appointed? Which members of our community have you spoken with about this? I see leaders like Talana willing to engage all of our community in a conversation about our shared future. Will you participate or continue to throw stones? Will you show enough vulnerability to expose yourself to new ideas and have difficult conversations? These are hard questions and we must wrestle with them. Talana's entire life has been inspected under a microscope, picked apart by people who have never even sat down to speak with her. Can you show just a fraction of that same vulnerability? Has anyone directly voiced their concerns to Talana with an open heart and a willingness to listen? You could ask her and yourself, what world do you want for your children? Can we have an honest conversation about it? I want to know if you want your children to see their parents and grandparents and loved ones modeling constructive dialogue with people who disagree. Regardless of your views on it, Talana is now your sitting school board member. What will you do now? Will you ignore the fact that she is now in this role, or will you engage in a conversation with her? Have you thought of voicing your concerns to her directly? Seriously, have you thought of doing that? What if you met with her and realized she's actually not the dangerous or destructive person you have misunderstood her to be? And I'm laughing because I know Talana and I know she is not that. Talana, thank you for your service to our community. I hope our neighbors, friends, loved ones, former classmates, and the parents of our peers will give you a chance to show them your well-honed skills of community and bridge building. Your appointment has made me proud to be an alum of this district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next we have Mac Murray. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
Hello, my name is Mac Murray, and I graduated Olympia High School in 2017. As Gracie Anderson shared before, we are here representing OSD students and alumni who were dismayed to see the vitriolic response to Talana's appointment to the school board. We want to thank the board for taking this step. It's because of actions like this and people like Talana that we will actually strengthen our community and better our world. I'll go ahead and read our petition now. It's worth noting that it was posted on Monday evening, and in the intervening 2 days received over 130 signatures from people with various affiliations to the OSD community. At least 63 parents of current or former OSD students and 40 alumni, which would more than fill up this room if everyone could be represented here. The letter will remain open for further signatures, but I want to convey the scope and enthusiasm of the response we received, which shows that the voices against Talana do not speak for all our community. What follows is the text of the letter. We, current and former students of Olympia School District and our families, condemn the racist onslaught against newly appointed school board member Talana Reed and stand against all forms of racism. We are disgusted by the ad hominem attacks that community members are levying at Talana, who has a proven track record of working for the betterment of our community and has raised incredible fellow OSD alumni. Anti-Black racism is not a new problem in the city of Olympia, and people like Talana are challenging the institutions of racism in our community. It is true that racist practices of historic redlining within the school district have resulted in inequities between schools and the other school districts in the area, and Talana's appointment to the board is one important step OSD can take to seek real solutions to these persistent, deep-rooted issues. We affirm the board's decision to appoint Talana and appreciate their commitment to practicing anti-racism in this appointment. We look forward to supporting Talana throughout her term and seeing what she and her fellow board members will accomplish in support of OSD students. The OSD community as a whole is not aligned with the racist views shared by some, and we want to ensure our voices in support of Talana and the board are not drowned out. The attacks against her are antithetical to our values. We call on our community members to engage in thoughtful dialogue with each other in person, rather than in the comment section of Facebook posts. It is critical that we push our city towards justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Malika Lamont. Malika? Can you hear us?
Hello, I can hear you. I'm here. Hello, my name is Malika Lamont, and I'm the parent of a child in the Olympia School District and who is also a student rep on the school board. We're joining virtually today because of the volatile and vile bigotry of the mob in the media and in the room there today. It didn't feel safe for my daughter to be in that room representing the students that she's been given the honor and the responsibility to represent in her school because of people's behavior. Looking at you, Frank DeRoche, do not send her another email. I also want to be, we support this move of the board to create a more representative and inclusive board. It isn't about the individual Talana, even though Talana has done things for our community that nobody wants to talk about. How about the toy drives that she's done for vulnerable children in our community that didn't have their families didn't have money to buy them Christmas presents, and the other supports that she has done in order to build community amongst marginalized people. 2.14 million people in Washington state have a criminal background. That's 28% of the population in this state. The appointment of Talana Reed to this board is an opportunity for people that also include children that may have a criminal background to see that they can participate in representative government. And the bigotry and vileness that you want to distract from equity. We're supposed to be talking about paraeducators, people that do some of the hardest work in our schools, and we aren't able to have that conversation. They serve the marginalized children that many of you seem to have lost sight of. I use those words on purpose. They're marginalized and you're losing sight of them. You don't even care that the people that work with them every single day can't afford to live and support our most vulnerable children. We can't have that conversation because right-wing bigots want to distract the conversation. And I'm all about taking everybody's concerns seriously. I'm a harm reductionist. I recognize that, and I'm sure people will use that against me later. I take the harm seriously. So I think some people generally do think that background checks keep us safer. They don't. They're used to exclude people. They do have a purpose. You can bring awareness, but we have a burgeoning movement in our community to employ more people that have lived and living experience because it's valuable, it's an asset. So as the students mentioned, get to know Talana. Is she perfect? No, none of us are. But get to know her, talk to her, see how she's grown since the time that she was on video making that statement. Because maybe in a couple years, y'all will see yourselves and you might be like, ooh, that wasn't my finest moment. I was pretty reactionary. I was in my feelings. We all have room to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ashley Colley.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Colley Joubert, and I am not here to talk about what seems to be the topic of the night, but I want to thank everybody on the board for all the hard work you're doing, and I'm sorry for everything that you're having to listen to. But first, I have 3 kids in Orla's H Connect program. I just want to mention that I am still seeing young kids alone outside the Orla building, and I'm going to keep bringing up this safety violation because it's a big deal and it needs to stop happening. Second, I'd like to share with you my response to my previous experience here about a month ago when I also spoke. I have taken to heart the message that we parents don't always do the best job of showing up here. Y'all are all working very hard and very conscientiously to ensure that all students have the best educational experience that this district can provide. And I thank you all for the difficult work you're doing. We parents, I'm sure, show up most often to complain and often do so without full understanding of everything that you're managing at that level. I get that. I'm showing up and I want to learn to better support this district. The feedback I have to offer to you is this. While we may not understand or always right off the top have knowledge of all the variables you're handling, neither do you necessarily know what it looks like inside our schools every day. I know your parents, but how many of you have spent a day in each of Orla's programs? They're all different. We're a very different school. I know you understand this intellectually, but from your 10,000-foot view, I'm not sure you know what it's really like on the ground. A choice that is functional, if not ideal from your perspective, may actually be destructive from ours. I've heard a few times now about bringing Orla in line with the rest of the district as if it can actually be done. Respectfully, I don't think it can. You can't teach a Montessori program with 30 kids in a classroom. It's not that our Orla program is different or better than the other programs. It's just different. And we have given things up to be part of a choice school, sports programs. Montessori has no art program. We don't have a certificated librarian. So if we're going to be in line with the rest of the district, we should have some of those benefits as well. We don't. So we have lost resources that we require to function properly, like our small class sizes or enough paras, and shout out to them because they make us run, to ensure that children aren't out in front of the building by themselves, and we have no recourse to ameliorate these issues. I understand that the problem is the budget and our lower enrollment numbers, but taking away the things that make our programs work because enrollment is low is like the old saying about how the beatings will continue until morale improves. So please, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and next is Dale Pollock.
She loves.
I have here that she's on Zoom. Is she on Zoom? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone who gave public comment. We are now moving on to agenda item 1.7, the superintendent's report. Superintendent Murphy.
Thank you, President Flores, and thank you to everyone that came tonight to give community comment. We just spoke for about an hour and a half, and as President Flores said, some of our conversations were pretty intense comments, and there's disagreement, and I think that that's okay. And I appreciate and thank the large majority of people who spoke, especially those that had objections, for letting us know that their objections had nothing to do with race or gender. But I will tell you that sadly, when disagreements like this happen, sometimes it emboldens people whose disagreement is rooted in racist and sexist beliefs. They're few, but there are some. Anonymous postcards, emails, voicemails, we've received them. I suspect many of them are from out of our area. They've been pretty horrible. But that thinking is out there. And I hope all of us, regardless of our opinion on Director Reed's appointment, keep working together to make those voices smaller and smaller until they're gone. I've tried during my tenure to collaborate with the school board and steer our school district to be a more inclusive, high-performing district that works for everyone. And I commit to do the same moving forward with our newest board member, Director Reed. With regard to our paraeducators that came tonight and those in support of them, a big thank you. And hugely important, integral part of what we do in our school district. And for those that weren't here in our last board meeting, we fund our paraeducator compensation based on the allocation we receive from the state. And I know people don't want to hear that because we do have a budget. We could take it from someplace else, and there were some suggestions tonight. Maybe pay these people less and move this over here. But we get an apportionment for paraeducators. And that apportionment has not met that standard that we heard people say so loudly and passionately tonight to have a living wage. And as we said at the last meeting, we'll commit to working with labor leaders across not just the paraeducator group, but all groups with the school board to go up to that dome building that was referenced tonight and work on changing that prototypical model, because that's what we go by. And we also commit, we're in the middle of the bargaining process right now to continue to compete with our neighboring school districts that were also referenced so that our paraeducators are right there. We commit to that and we'll continue to do that in good faith. There were a number of people, President Flores, that you called their names, they did not come tonight. And as I looked at what their subject was, it had to do with CTE funding. For those that weren't in our last meeting, our career and technical education teachers and programs, they were concerned because their budgets for their materials and field trips and things like that were very small to start out the school year. And we had talked about how we don't close our books on our previous school year until right about now in early November, and we would have a better idea if there was additional funding moving forward. And I have a feeling, President Flores, this is why they didn't show up tonight, because I did send a message out to some of them. But we had let teachers and principals know that we would be assessing several categories of expenditure where we felt we could free up more resources to increase school budgets and program budgets. But we needed time to cost that out and close out last year's books. And we finished our assessment, and the carryover funds available from 21-22 can now be brought up. And we expect supply, material, and travel budgets to be restored to about 92% of their expenditure from last year. So the overwhelming majority of funds that they had from last year should come back. There will be a reduction, but a lot of those materials that they said they needed to do those projects and some of those leadership activities, those will be in place. And Career and Technical Education Director Paula Perryman will work with all of our teachers and advisors to get those funds out. I do want to say, it was mentioned by some, a happy Veterans Day for tomorrow. We had a number of celebrations across our schools. I am the son of a naval officer. I am the grandson of a World War I Army soldier, and I am the son-in-law of a U.S. Marine who served on the USS Enterprise in World War II. And very grateful that my grandparents made it home safely. As of last March, we have 526 students in the Olympia School District, about 1 out of every 19 students who are children of military families. So I want to say a special thank you to them and those families and wishing them a happy Veterans Day tomorrow. I also want to share, and we'll talk about this more, President Flores, and reports to come, but we got our graduation data back for the class of 2022. I had a daughter in the class of 2022. We saw a slight decrease, about 0.7%. We had about a 92% on-time graduation rate in 2021 and went down to 91.3% in 2022, which by initial look still is among the highest in the state. And as I said, we'll bring more data in upcoming reports. But one of the areas that we look at is at our extended graduation rate, because we know that not all students graduate in 4 years. We know that some of our students, maybe those that are receiving special education services, we intentionally go another 5th, 6th, sometimes 7 years. Some of our paraeducators talked tonight about students they work with. They're not going to graduate in 4 years, and that's on purpose. Some families arrive from maybe another country not speaking the language in the middle of their high school years. Or sometimes maybe they're just credit deficient for some other reason. Maybe it's a health circumstance in their home. Some of those students end up at Avanti High School. And one of the things I want to share, and I've not seen this before, but when we got our data, Avanti High School's extended graduation rate, their 5-year graduation rate was 100%. Which means that every student from the class of 2021 that stayed at that school graduated within 5 years. So also a big congratulations to Avanti on their art exposition last night. If you had a chance to go, amazing sculptures and paintings, and even got a chance to see this fusion of Irish dance, and I can't remember what the other one was, but it was pretty remarkable. And if the students are listening, my favorite sculpture was Blueberry. It was about this big, but looked exactly like a blueberry. I also want to remind people that Olympia High School starts their production of Into the Woods starting tonight. And I think it's going to be fantastic. And I can't wait to bring my family and go out to that. So thank you, President Flores.
Thank you, Superintendent Murphy. And that's really incredible news about Avanti. Thank you for sharing that.
President Flores,
Yes.
can I make a motion for a brief recess for bio breaks and just rest it?
Sure. Can you give a period of time?
Yes.
In your motion?
Move to adjourn for 5 minutes and.
Point of order, it's a motion to recess.
Recess, I'm sorry. Thank you, Director Clifford.
Okay,
Motion to recess for 5 minutes.
All right. There's been a motion to recess for 5 minutes. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We are going to have a bathroom break. Thank you.
Recording stopped.